Hey everybody, I recently started having an issue with my sunroof getting stuck open in my '02 IS300. Currently it's stuck in a tilted open position. So basically what would happen is every time you would press the button to tilt it up or close, it would get stuck and it would just stay there. Currently I can't get my window to close down. So the first thing I checked was the sunroof track, and I did find a pin in there. However, it didn't solve the problem. So the next thing I checked was to make sure all the fuses were good, and it's right here down in the driver's footwell down back here. And I checked the S roof 30 amp and the ECU IG. Both of those didn't fix the issue because they were both good. So what I did is I pulled the driver board and motor that operates the window. I pulled it down from here. It's held in place by two 10mm bolts. So pretty easy to take off. And I opened it up and I figured maybe there was something wrong with one of the contacts on the board. Maybe there was a bad solder joint or whatnot. So I pulled it off, and everything was good. It actually has like a layer of clear coat or epoxy on it. So most of these things are going to be pretty good. So I opened it up even further and looked inside to make sure there was no debris in here stopping it from operating. Well, I couldn't find anything, so I wanted to check to make sure that the motor was good. So what I did was I took jumper cables. I mean, you might find a better way to do this, but I just took jumper cables because it's all I had, connected it to my battery, and I jumped them to these points right here which connect the motor. And you can see on the back of the board here, right where the connectors are, you can actually see which one's positive and one's negative. So this right here is negative and this one's positive. So negative and positive. So what I did was I just pressed the negative cable up against this one and touched the positive against this one, and my motor wouldn't turn. So I figured my motor was bad. So I pulled the motor apart, which it's easy to do. You just take these three bolts off right here. I actually had to take a small pair of vice grips to turn them just to get them going because they're on there really tight. So what you do is when you pull that apart, this cover right here is going to come off, and then you're going to have a shaft on the inside, and it's going to be a large copper core right here, and then there's going to be a smaller copper contact shaft right here, and there's two little contactors that pinch against it. Well, what had happened is the rotating copper contact was so dirty with carbon that it was not making connection to the motor. So what I did is when you pull this apart, the shaft is going to come off inside this icing shell right here. So what you're going to have to do is actually pull the shaft. You're going to pull this all off in one piece, and then there's going to be a shaft connected to this shell. And then you can actually pull the shaft off of this, and what holds this in place, what holds the shaft onto the inside of this, is two magnets on the inside. So once you pull that off, you take a little steel wool, and it's actually, I don't want to pull it back apart to show, but because I just finished putting it back together. So basically where the contacts are going to be about right here on the inside. You want to take some steel wool and clean them back to their original copper surface. And then after you basically you're going to try to get it as clean as you can. And then when you're done with that, clean it with alcohol, allow it to dry. And then you want to clean those two little contactors that pinch on the inside of it's actually about right here, that pinch on the copper contacts. So once you do that and you clean all that, you let it dry, assemble it all back together, and then it should fix your problem. So if anybody's having a problem with their IS300 sunroof, clicking when you want to try to open it, and everything else checks out fine, you should probably try that if you got the time. And I'm going to put mine back together and see if it fixes the issue.